Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Shri Radha Madhava Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 7, text number 13. I will read it myself since it's in prose. Itang dritta bhagavat brata aineya jina vas anu vasa Vassasanu Savanabhishek Ardra Kapisha Kuttila Jata Kalapena Cha Virochamanaha Suryarja Bhagavantam Hiranmayang Purusham Jihane Surya Mandale Vyupatishtan Etat U Avacha. Word for word. Itam in this way. Tritta Bhagavat Prattaha Having accepted the vow to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Aineya ajinavasasa, with the dress of a deer skin. Anusavana, 3 times in a day. Abhisheka, by a bath. Ardra, wet. Kapisha, tawny. Kutilajata, of curling and matted hair. Kalapena, by masses. Cha, and Virojamanaha, being very beautifully decorated. Suryarja, by the Vedic hymns, worshipping the expansion of Narayan within the sun. Bhagavantam, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hiranmayam, the Lord whose bodily hue is just like gold. Purusham, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Jihane, when rising. Surya-Mandale, the sun globe. Abhyupatishtan, worshipping. Itat, this. Uha, certainly. Oha, now we know where this comes from. Oha, certainly. Uvacha, he recited. Translation of purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Maharaj Bharat appeared very beautiful. He had a wealth of curly hair on his head, which was wet from bathing 3 times daily. He dressed in a deerskin. Interesting, wealth of curly hair on his head, which was wet from bathing 3 times daily. He dressed in a deerskin. He worshipped Lord Narayan, whose body was composed of golden effulgence, and who resided within the sun. Maharaj Bharat worshipped Lord Narayan by chanting the hymns given in the Rig Veda, and he recited the following verse as the sun rose. So we'll not hear the verse today. No, it says, and he recited the following verse, so it's kind of like a teaser today, and tomorrow Krishna Prabhu will reveal the mantra. Guru will come and reveal the mantra. You give class tomorrow? Purport. The predominating deity within the sun is Hiranmaya, Lord Narayan. He is worshipped by the Gayatri mantra. Om Bhurбhuva Svaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi. He is also worshipped by other hymns mentioned in the Rig Veda. For instance, Dhyeya Sada Savitrimandala Madhyavarti. Within the sun, Lord Narayan is situated, and he has a golden hue. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamanam Shri Guru Vaishnavansha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitascha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishabhanu Shute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarupyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavati Pashyatya Deshatarine. Maharaj Bharat appeared very beautiful. He had a wealth of curly hair on his head, which was wet from bathing 3 times daily. He dressed in a deerskin. He worshipped Lord Narayan, whose body was composed of golden effulgence and who resided within the sun. Maharaj Bharat worshipped Lord Narayan by chanting the hymns given in the Rig Veda, and he recited the following verse as the sun rose. Hare Krishna. Thank you for coming. So we hear how, now we're going to hear about the sadhana of Bharat Maharaj. And the sadhana, as we already hear here, but then tomorrow the mantra will be revealed. It's different from our sadhana. Our sadhana mainly, that the essence of our sadhana is to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Chant the sing. Das wäre jetzt so etwas, wo ihr müsst. So there's many different sadhanas, no, in the Vedic culture, depending on what you want to achieve. There is a different sadhana, and our sadhana has been given by the spiritual master, by Srila Prabhupada, and ultimately by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, for a particular purpose, because we want to achieve residence in Goloka Vrindavan. And Golokera Premadana Harinam Sankirtan, this chanting comes from Golok Dham directly. So that's why this sadhana is specifically meant to bring you to Goloka Dham. I myself cannot find any reference how Bharat Maharaj got his sadhana. Most probably also some guru must have given him mantra, but it's not really clearly mentioned. I heard a lecture of Guru Maharaj the other day where he said, you should make it a point to prepare for classes, not that the audience will think, oh no, what a waste of time. And and I didn't really, I mean, I went up and I did some brainstorm, but yeah, could invest more time. So I, of course, then I try to be in a prayerful mood, that I can say something that actually inspires and you don't feel like he said that, oh, what a waste of time. And it happens, no, we are not prepared for class, and then we are not doing our service properly. It's a service to inspire ourselves and the devotees. And yeah, asking for your blessings that I can say something meaningful. Yeah, well, a few thoughts came to my mind and I tried to bring them together in a way so we can have a flow of thoughts. That's always the challenge with me because I have a lot of vata. I can go there, there, and there. And this can be probably disturbing for the audience, so I'll try. Huh? So the question that came to me, always I try to think, how is it now relevant? No? What is the relevance? And especially if the purport is more meager, like we see here, then I usually ask myself more deeply about the relevance. And I was thinking about this aspect of worshipping Narayan, Surya-Narayan, which Bharat Maharaj did. And obviously, as we could already hear in the previous verses, it's a bona fide process because he reached some really exalted stage. The acharyas say he was on the stage of Bhava. So it's not possible that this sadhana is not good. It's a good sadhana. It brought him to a very exalted position. But we know also he didn't reach the perfection yet. And I think I did this verse a few days back where it was said he was constantly shedding tears. Why? Because he was constantly seeing the lotus feet of the Lord. So that was somehow his mood. No? We often think, yeah, now I need to see Krishna dancing with the gopis, and then I can shed the tears of ecstasy. Yes, that can be, but it can also, first it has to be as a servant. I need to have cried tears as a servant before I want to cry tears as something, a lover or something. So there's a progressive approach. Few things came to my mind in connection to Surya. Surya is also a planet in astrology. Shikshastakam is laughing. Sometimes the Jyotishi comes out. Genau. Jyotimisha Bhakti. One time one astrology explained the meaning of the different planets. Because in the Vedic astrology, you can go very deep by just looking at a small detail. And if you look at the name, and Surya means Su-Arya, meaning the best of the Aryas. We're not speaking about the Aryas which were propagated by Adolf Hitler, but by the Aryas that civilized people, those who follow Dharma. So that's the meaning of the word Surya. And I found an interesting quote which probably is important to make this distinction. There's a difference between Surya and Surya-Narayan. One is a demigod, and we see also quotes by Prabhupada where he says the demigods like Indra, Chandra, Surya, Varuna, and so Surya Dev is a demigod. Anyone comes to your mind who was a staunch worshipper of Surya Dev? Mahabharata. Who was had a very intimate connection with Surya Dev? Mahabharata. Karna? Yeah, Karna, he was a son of Surya-Dev. The son of sun. There is one instance in Mahabharata, no, where it's described. I hope I remember correctly. He would worship Surya-Dev every morning. He would go to the Ganges. Actually, it's supposed to be, I think, Jamuna, but somehow in the Mahabharata they say Ganges, and he would worship the Surya-Dev. And he was famous for being very charitable. And was it Kunti who went to him to ask for the armor? To cut, he got this. He was born with an armor, and then, at the time when he just finished the worship of the sun god, I think Kunti. No, Kunti. His actual mother. Was it Bruno? We have to find this out. In any case, he was so dharmic that he cut it off with a knife. This armor, which was fixed to his body, he cut it off and gave it. So here is some quote which comes actually in this canto 5 in the 20th chapter. Brahma, Shambhu, Surya and Indra are all merely products of the power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is also true of the many other demigods whose names are not mentioned here. When the cosmic manifestation is annihilated, these different expansions of Narayan's potencies will merge into Narayan. In other words, all these demigods will die. Their living force will be withdrawn and they will merge into Narayan. And here is a quote. Who is Surya-Narayan then? Who is Surya-Dev? Sorry. The demigod of the moon, Chandra, came from the mind of Narayan, and the sun god came from his eyes. So we also hear that in the Bhagavad Gita, now the moon and the sun, they're like the eyes of Narayan, and also from the Virat Purusha, the universal form. I found an example on Google G where it said this person was explaining the difference between Surya Dev and Surya-Narayan, and he was saying, like if you have a bungalow, you see a bungalow, then the bungalow is like Surya Dev, but the proprietor of the bungalow is Surya-Narayan. You don't see him directly, but the sun you can see very easily. Surya Dev you can see. I don't know if it's a bona fide example, but to me it kind of helped. Yeah, there can be some different. So this, I just wanted to mention in the beginning that we have to make this distinction that we're speaking about Surya-Narayan, the worship of Surya-Narayan, who is an aspect of Krishna, the Supreme Lord. And we find this, Bharat Maharaj, he's now showing an example, and Srila Prabhupada himself here quotes the Gayatri mantra. Who is second initiated? You second initiated? Yes. So, interestingly, Prabhupada didn't quote the full mantra. I was first thinking, wow, Prabhupada is giving them, and then I realized he's not giving the full mantra. So very intelligently, because there is some Vedic injunction, that there needs to be some conditions that the Guru can give this mantra. And he quotes it, but not completely. So meaning it's not, and the Gayatri mantras, they're very specific. You need to chant them completely, otherwise they're not working. They're not complete. They have a clear meter, of course pronunciation and all that, But by leaving away a part, the mantra is not complete, and it's not. He's not giving the power to anyone. You need to follow the process. Yeah. Actually, it's so nice in ISKCON how Prabhupada invited everyone to take second initiation. Sometimes we had some argument with some devotees how there was some restriction in this temple because somehow customs have changed, everybody was invited to worship the deities, and then we felt like we need to bring it back to what we consider, what Prabhupada would want us to do, to follow the GBC and what Prabhupada said. And then there was many comments that we are almost like the caste Brahmins, we want to show our superiority and just put others down. And my reply was, actually, we would be happy to have more Brahmanas, so please come and become a Brahmana, you just have to follow the process. But we cannot make that compromise. And that's the fact. Everybody can take second initiation and chant the Gayatri Mantra if we follow this, if we follow the rules. So therefore it is a bona fide, that shows it's a bona fide way of worshipping Krishna through Surya-Narayan. There is a very nice Prabhupada memory of Nara-Narayan. 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 You know Nara-Narayan? Yes, Prabhupada disciple, very special character. And yes, but he's really special. And he tells a story that in the very early days, maybe it was in Montreal or San Francisco, it was one of these first places. Nara-Narayan Prabhu joined early. Ginsberg came to see Prabhupada. And Prabhupada, it must have been maybe even Boston, because he just started to give second initiation, Prabhupada. And Ginsberg, he was is he still alive? I'm not sure, but he was a staunch Hare Krishna chanter. He had a lot of faith in this mantra. And Ginsberg, he met with Srila Prabhupada in private conversation in a room, and Nara-Narayan tells that they were always so eager, especially when Ginsberg came, because Ginsberg was also like a guru for them. They wanted to know what are they discussing. So there was somehow a wardrobe in Prabhupada's room, and on the back and behind the wall they had some hole or something, but they could go and listen. What is Ginsberg and Prabhupada speaking? And then they could hear how Ginsberg, actually one part is quite funny, but I leave it away, but then Ginsberg is asking Prabhupada, why you giving this Gayatri mantra, because the Maha Mantra is sufficient, no? There is no need to give the Gayatri. So that could be a doubt, that why should we do this worship of the Gayatri? Because Prabhupada says clearly, the predominating deity within the sun is Hiranmaya, Lord Narayan. He is worshipped by the Gayatri mantra. So we are worshipping Narayan, not Krishna, by this mantra. So why we have to do that? We know that Krishna is the ultimate supreme. And Ginsberg, in a way, it was a good doubt, good question. But we do it, and there is a reason for that. And some thoughts that came to my mind, I would like to share. And Prabhupada's answer to that question was, it will help the devotees to advance. Nara-Narayan says that was Prabhupada's reply. No, it will help them to advance further, to chant this Gayatri. And yeah, I'm just now sharing these thoughts that came to my mind in this regard. We see again, I mentioned this often, I think last class I already mentioned how the Bhagavatam is taking us gradually to the ultimate realization of Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but taking us gradually, step by step, and through many different phases. Now, later on, I was quoting from the 20th chapter, we will hear about the universal structure, the planetary systems, so much knowledge is there. And all of this has a reason. And there is one quote in the Bhagavad Gita, let me just see if I can find it and read it to you, which gives some insight why we have to go gradually, or why we have to follow a certain process. This is the verse, Brahma bhuta prasanna atma na shochati na kankshati samasarveshu bhuteshu matpatim labate param. One who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed toward every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. This famous verse in the Bhagavad Gita, where it is clearly said by Krishna that bhakti only starts when you actually transcend the material nature, when you come to the spiritual platform. And Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport, to the impersonalist, achieving the Brahma Bhuta stage, becoming one with the Absolute, is the last word. But for the personalist or pure devotee, one has to go still further to become engaged in pure devotional service. This means that one who is engaged in pure devotional service to the Supreme Lord is already in a state of liberation called Brahma Bhuta, oneness with the Absolute. And now comes an important sentence. Without being one with the Supreme, the Absolute, one cannot render service unto Him. I was actually looking for a different quote, and I also in Bhagavad Gita, where he says, you cannot interact with the Lord if you don't have the same quality as Him. And here it's mentioned in a different way. You first need to be one, and then you can come to the platform of bhakti. And that basically means we cannot, if we look at it really soberly, philosophically, we cannot serve Krishna without being Brahman, spiritual. So we have to develop that spiritual nature within us in order to approach Him. And therefore Prabhupada said, no, this is helping, this Gayatri, it will help them to advance, to then ultimately come to that stage. And in this regard, if we look again at the sun god, but even we can look at the sun just as a physical object being representative, it is important for us to learn what is the sun, who is the sun god. Why is the sun so important? Because it's connected to the sun god and Surya-Narayan. It's the only planet which predominating deity is actually the Lord Himself. Other planets don't have that. And our problem, as we know, is we are constantly seeing things separate from Krishna. That is called Maya. And because we are in Maya, we are in duality and we are not able to be in this oneness with the Lord. We are always acting separate from the will of the Lord. And therefore the whole Bhagavatam, our scriptures, they try to teach us to again be Krishna conscious. to see everything connected, because this is also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. It's the prerogative. Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudulabha. That one who sees that everything is Vasudev, then he then surrenders. He can worship the Lord, but not before. And specifically, if we look at the sun, I was thinking to ask this question: can you see and perceive anything in this room which is not connected to the sun? Everything is connected to the sun. Our body is connected to the sun. It's the product of us eating something. So it's food, and food grows from the sun. And water is coming is coming from the... Everything is manifested by the sun, no? How the sun is supplying everything. Even now I feel some warmth in my body. This is coming also from the sun, indirectly. And if we read the Vedic scriptures, we also see how the sun is the initial planet from which everything expands. And even scientifically, I think they have a quite clear understanding that the sun is the... Prabhupada actually states tomorrow in the purport. I think one second. Yeah, according to modern scientists, the material world rests on the sun's effulgence. So Prabhupada is quoting the scientist. Usually he smashes them, but sometimes he also likes what they say. Meaning they also confirm that fact, that the sun is the source of life. And this we have to understand at some point. How everything is coming from Krishna. So Krishna expands, and after expanding himself, he becomes Surya-Narayan. Surya-Narayan and then manifests here as a sun, as a physical object, and the sunlight then manifests the whole world. And if you follow that, it becomes a very simple world view. It becomes very nice because you can follow every thread and you will always reach the Supreme Lord. And in this way we can strengthen our Krishna consciousness and then ultimately come to the lotus feet of Krishna. And one thought that came to me also, and I would like to end with this and then conclude, is Jai Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Shishi Gaur Ki Jai. How Bharat Maharaj, he was on such an elevated stage, having spiritual emotions, worshipping Surya-Narayan, but then again we hear later he falls down. And my philosophical speculation is also Surya-Narayan is... I don't think you can have an eternal relationship based on your spiritual reality with Surya-Narayan, because it's in a way a material manifestation. Like Prabhupada says, the Virat Roop, and actually we have quotes of Prabhupada where he says, Hiranmaya is a name for the Virat Roop, which also is mentioned in this verse. Hiranmaya is a name of Surya-Narayan. And only, Prabhupada mentions again and again, only when the spirit soul is completely situated in the constitutional position of serving the Lord, and that means to serve as a spiritual being in the spiritual identity. Only then one is reached perfection. And Prabhupada says that if somebody doesn't reach that stage, there is always the risk of coming down again. And we can again also compare here. Surya-Narayan is worshipable, as we also chant in our Gayatri, because of the effulgence, the Brahman effulgence, which is a spiritual aspect, but it's, Prabhupada says, this is not the goal. We have to go beyond that. So that's a little bit my speculation also why Bharat Maharaj, he needs to go further than this. Surya-Narayan is an aspect, a manifestation of God in this material world, but not in the spiritual world. So in this way we can conclude that this worship of Surya-Narayan, as we also do it, who have second initiation, is very important because it helps us to realize our constitutional position as being spiritual. But it's only a step towards the actual goal. And in the Gayatri, we very clearly see that this is the first out of 5. 7, huh? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah. The first, so it's like an entry point. And then from there is a Gayatri for the Guru, then there is the Gayatri for Mahaprabhu, and then there is a Gayatri for Krishna. Good. Thank you for your attention. Hare Krishna. Krishna Prabhu, would you like to add something?
Well, maybe only commenting on Prabhupada made that point, it will help them, it will help the devotee, right? He said, about the Gayatri. On Saturday we spoke about this Pancharadrika Vidhi and Bhagavat Vidhi, that they're going together. And of course it's the Harinam, it's the holy name that actually gives pure love of God, but it's the Gayatri who can free us from material bondage. Basically that's what the Gayatri mantra can do. Right? Gayatri can give mukti, liberation, can free us from material conception, and then we are more free to actually serve Krishna like that. I remember when I was in 2011, I was in South India in some palm leaf libraries, and then I went to several, and then in one of them the reader said, and there is one mantra for you. You have to chant this mantra. This mantra will help you in this life. It will give you moksha, liberation. And he said, Klim Krishnaya Govindaya.
Yeah.
I said, oh yeah, I'll chant it. You chanted? Who gave it to you? I said, well, my Guru Dev. It's part of the Gayatri, no? It was funny, he was kind of surprised that I already chanted.
He thought he can now
appreciate you. Yeah, he thought he can give me some special mantra, maybe I give him more bigger donation or something. But nevertheless, it was interesting. That same principle, you know, like chanting this mantra will help you. It frees you.
Yes.
It's a supportive mantra to become free from any material bondage and conception.
Thank you. Sure. Anything else?
Chaitanya Charitamrita says that the beginning of creation, these demigods are like positions, like a mayor here in the city. So, in the beginning of the creation, the very pious souls get this position. But when don't have a qualified pious soul to get this position, Krishna spent himself to get this position. And this, I don't know if in the beginning creation or in this Brahma, day of Brahma, Krishna spent himself and take the position of Surya, because this Surya-Narayana is a Vishnu Tattva, is a Swansha. But Indra or Lord Brahma, they are Vibhinanshas, they are a Jivatma like us that assume this position. Because this Surya is so special, because it's Surya-Narayan, because it's Swansha, is a Vishnu Tattva himself.
Classical plants.
Thank you, Krishna Prabhu. Yeah. The philosophical terms to clear distinction between the Vibhinamsha and Swamsha. Yeah. And this came in one of these purports of the 20th chapter. Prabhupada says clearly how all the planets are ruled by jivas, except the sun is ruled by Narayan himself. Yes.
Yeah, just a few thoughts that came to my mind. One is that also in the spiritual world we know, right, that for example you were asking who is worshipping the sun. Radharani is also worshipping the sun all the time. Like it's a big part of the pastimes in Goloka Vrindavan. So that's very interesting also. That the sun god plays a very big role also in Goloka Vrindavan. And I was just wondering that Prabhupada also gives this translation, right, of the Gayatri mantra that is very like, that is a standard translation kind of, you know, where it seems like it's about demigods, right? The Brahma Gayatri, it's about Brahma. And like, so, but then isn't it that you can also kind of, because what Shiva Maharaj does, he interprets, or you know, he takes all this to mean that it's denoting Radha Krishna. He says Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha, it denotes, or then Varinyam, it denotes the effulgence that is Radha, is like the effulgence of. So he takes it like that. So in this way, it's not just meditation on, not just meditation on Surya-Narayan, but it's like on Radha Krishna. So yeah, I was just curious, like.
Yeah, I think
where is
it's
this?
all a matter of realization, because ultimately everything will go there. But how realized I am, and he is, and you are, it's all different stages of realization. And yeah, Prabhupada always gave a very universal, like the Hare Krishna mantra, it's very universal how he gives it. Mother Hara, it's a prayer to Mother Hara, but it's a prayer to Radharani. You follow your Guru Maharaj, what he says. Now, in regards to the Gayatri mantra, I think everybody who gets the Gayatri gets it from his Guru, so he can ask him if there is such a question coming up, and then the Guru can. And otherwise, I don't see it so relevant, because those who don't chant anyway, then no need to discuss.
How much you wanna, you know, go into it and share with everybody, and not,
Yeah.
and.
True. Bishop will like to say something.
Perfect.
Yes, it just reminded me of Surya Kund. Thank you. Radharani worshipping Surya. Yeah, the Rajabasis worship so many demigods. Katyayani. Hmm? Aha. Aha. So he's now speaking about the mood, but your point was more, who are we actually worshipping? In the parikrama, when we came to the place where Krishna, he performed, not Krishna, but the gopis performed the Katyayani Brata, I think it was there. One senior devotee was explaining that usually in the Vedic culture, when you worship the demigod, then the demigod, after successful performance of the worship, he appears and grants a boon. That's always, and we see also in the scriptures. But what happened in that Brata? They worshipped Katyayani, but Katyayani didn't appear. Krishna appeared. And he was asking, and somehow Samacharyas explained why. And the point that came out, meaning the point that came out was they were worshipping Katyayani as a demigod, but Katyayani herself felt, I cannot grant that boon, meaning and therefore Krishna himself then appeared. Something I had to really listen again to what this devotee said. But in regards to your question, they worshipped Katyayani, but she didn't appear because she felt she cannot give that boon. I don't know. I guess when Ananda Chaitanya Prabhu says, he might have some Shiva Maharaj maybe in his books. I don't know. It'd be interesting. Yeah. Here it's clearly a demigod, like we just said, a Jiva. But is it in the spiritual world an expansion of Balaram expands also many things? I don't know. Should have to be found out. Okay, thank you very much for your attention. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Gaura